So, welcome to Korea Talk. We're doing a roster rundown or roundup or whatever R you want to do. That
We're going
so
to
you
talk
can
about
have,
Korean players.
partially alliteration with the roster.
Yeah, unlike
We're
the last sort of 20 episodes or how long we're doing this show for, we're not going to start talking about Chinese players. We're actually going to continue talking about Korean teams, basically. So
yeah, we're gonna start off talking about all of the rosters we now see in Korea. Our thoughts on how they'll shape up, and then we're gonna kind of highlight certain players that have moved different teams that are Korean, and give our thoughts about how we expect them to play and what they can really bring to the team. So we're gonna start off in alphabetical order, so I can say afreeca Freecas and never say that again because I'm done. And we've said that name now. So what do you guys think of literally the exact same team?
Oh, we're starting up. I thought we were going to start in like shit to not so shit order, and wait until we get to the best team in the world.
Alphabetical gets us the best team in the world last too. So
Yeah.
Wait a minute, does it?
Not Longzhu, mates. We're talking SKT.
not the team you want to call the best team.
Yeah.
But the team that everyone else in the world would call the best team in the world.
Well, technically, T is after S, so.
No, because there are.
Yeah, no, the ROX Tigers now. All right, well, let's talk about Africa Freecs. Why don't you like the name Africa Freecs?
It's afreeca Freecs. Or is it Africa? I don't. That's not how you.
It says
afreeca Freecas.
No, Freecs.
It's just stupid.
There's
like
no
I
A
understand
between
that they literally could get on like if they got afreeca to sponsor them, and that's great because they have a sponsor. But you could just call them afreeca like .tv or whatever it was, the same way other people have done. Like, do you? You just name them after the streaming platform. We don't need a second name.
And he likes to be
like CJ is simply CJ.
They're the rebels. Don't forget.
Well, no, CJ is CJ Entus.
Yes, and that's still the name of the company.
True.
You don't need a secondary name. So what do we think about the old Anarchy Rebels team? Minus Hachani. No longer have Hachani as the coach.
Oh well, I mean, we'll get to my favourite player on KT Rolster later on. The gift that keeps on giving, Hachani.
I mean, there won't be much difference.
Yeah.
Bottom team.
So I mean, I don't know who they've got coaching them. I don't know if anyone ever took this team massively. Like, I always got the impression they were like more about sort of streaming and just having like a bit of fun and whatnot. Like, why not be a pro team? Let's be a pro team and see how long we do that for, kind of thing. You know, like it seemed like they're all quite friendly. I've watched interviews with them where they seem rather more friendly than the sort of professional SKT style of like, right, I'll get up, I'll play solo queue and I'll be respectful. They more or less, I want to have a laugh with it. So, I mean, like, it'll probably just be the same as it always is. You watch Mickey go off on the odd game on Z or whatever, and that'll be it, really.
I think you might see a bit more of the Iksu, but I mean, he did play better near the end of the season. But their team pretty much is Mickey. If he can go off, they can win. If he doesn't,
yeah.
Chance.
What they need to be worried about is the possibility of Mickey leaving, because he is a pretty good mid laner. Now they've got a substitute mid laner, Linda Rang. I believe the joke for that one is who. Oh, you're right there, mate. Oh, who's that? Oh no, it's just Linda Rang. Like, I think that's the joke about that one. But like, I don't know. I don't know what they've got. Like, but if Mickey leaves, what does the team do then?
I don't think they're bad. Like, without Mickey, I don't. They probably wouldn't even probably not gotten relegated because the challenges were so bad, but it would have been significantly difficult. They'd actually have to pay for one of the ones that SBENU, one of the SBENU or Samsung mid laners that no longer is on their team. They have to go for one of them.
Yeah,
but I don't think there's anyone else that really has the shining star that Mickey does for them.
I have heard some Twitter people telling me that Iksu is going to be like in great next year. He's going to go off, and I don't believe it. but I have heard people talking about. I mean, at one point he was on KT Rolster when they had Sunday in the top lane, and they definitely subbed out Sunday to play Ixie. Now I'm not sure whether like Sunday was just like, yeah, so this week I want to go out and get drunk and take loads of drugs. And we're like, yeah, all right, we'll do that. We'll just get someone to sub in for you. Yeah, all right, cheers, mate. I don't know whether that kind of situation or whether they actually thought he could be good. But yeah, I know that maybe Ixu can do something. I don't know. I'm fucking grasping the straws of this team.
I do think
The issue
Lero was playing
Yeah.
better, and the what was it? The tournament, the Casper Cup.
Yeah.
He actually, so I don't know. Maybe overall the team's gonna be very similar, but I do think like Lero and maybe Ixu as well might surprise us so that Mickey doesn't have to do everything.
I think Ixu was surprising. He was pretty good, but I still think this team is Mickey or bust.
Oh, yeah.
Like if Mickey doesn't go off and doesn't really do a lot, the team's not they can't win with him having an average game.
The other strength of Africa Freecs is that I love that name. I'm going to say it more often. The other strength of Africa Freecs is that I don't think they seem to be that bothered about if they lose the game. I think they play to win rather than playing not to lose, which is why I think were able to upset a few teams last year and take sort of the odd match win and stuff like that. 'Cause they just kind of they play quite aggressive. They just kind of go all in, and if it doesn't work out, they're like, oh, who cares? And if it does work out, they're like, wait, look, loving it. So I think the fact that they're not the most kind of ambitious team actually plays in their favor, because for them they don't have that weird Sith mentality that all Korean players have, which is I need to win right now, all the time, right now. They're like, oh, let's just have a bit of fun with it and see where it takes us. So in that aspect, I guess that works in their favor as well.
Yeah, it is fun to see them play their own style.
Yeah.
So, I don't think they've ever tried to cater to oh, we're gonna counter pick or counter ban. They're just no, we're just gonna keep playing the exact same style we've always played. Mickey, pick up an assassin, and let's hope that you can win.
Yeah. But hey, they're not the most entertaining team. They're not the worst team in Korea either, really. So
they are not, which is pretty much the crux of them, is that they're never going to really do anything threatening at the top, but they're not bad enough to fall out, which is a bit sad on the overall state of still Korea after so long of being completely dominant.
Yes.
I think Africa Freecs is just going to stay that barrier between the top teams and the bottom teams. You need to pass them now or something. They're the weird new gatekeepers, but doing it very chill. They don't care. They just play their stuff. And if you're not prepared for it, and you throw away points you don't want to throw away. That's it.
Yeah, they're definitely the team you need to be able to beat consistently to be
Oh
good.
yeah, the danger of them is, do we, if we lose to them, then that's really bad because other teams are less likely to lose to them. I think, you know what I mean? That's the way, playing in LCK is very much, can you beat shit teams consistently, and can you beat good teams? Can you take important games off good teams as well? You know what I mean? But that's been the same for every league, really. But Korea's so top heavy, I think, this year that it's kind of more important in that. It's very much more that dimension, rather.
Well, I don't know if they're more top heavy. I think we saw some. As we're going to see, we'll see teams that have. We had a 5 or 6 teams at the top, and now I think what's happened is 2 of those teams have fallen out and been replaced with 2 different teams. But I still think we have kind of a similar amount. Anything else about this team that shall be named by Sam and only Sam?
No.
Moving on then to CJ disappoint us. I mean CJ entertain us.
I like the CJ Entus roster.
I'll like it as soon as BDD starts to play and Shy retires.
Hey.
But
yeah.
Let's have a look.
Expecting anything from CJ?
No, not with that roster. Space left, sure, but they lost Coco, and they have hired a bunch of other old guys.
So first off, there's no way their new jungler is worse than their old jungler.
Okay, yeah,
that is a good point.
That is a good point. Yeah,
Even if
they got rid of ambition. That's one good point.
Even if Bubbling, I can't remember the other ID. Bubbling is not the world's best jungler tomorrow. At least he might become good. We know ambition will never be good. So there's So in that aspect, yeah, they lost Coco. You know, you can't say I'm in love with the Coco anymore or whatever.
Well, you can, but
Oh, yeah, for a different team.
yes.
But yeah, like, but you know what? They're like, props to CJ. They've finally done what I told them to do, which is they've got some new prospects and are going to use them. By the way, what role is Ghost playing?
No idea.
Because some people list him as playing an AD, some people list him as playing support. Is he some weird Chouster guy who can play both? Is he a literal ghost and therefore not real?
CJ is put him as AD sub, but they never have ever used him. So.
I assume they're probably going to start Kramer, but
yeah,
it's
they'll very much experiment and stuff like that. You don't hire a bunch of new young players and then never use them.
I'll say they have. I'm surprised they don't have like another jungler. Like they don't have another jungler on the team, because until BDD comes of age, I don't really see them doing anything fantastic. So I think they should experiment with players and see who would work well with who in actual live matches. I mean, Mad Life and Shire pretty much, I'm assuming, are going to stay, unless they replace them with like Key or Crazy, because we don't know where they have gone yet either from Ever.
They might just stay on Ever and try and get into LCK. That would seem possible. Might be bought out by Chinese money midway through the split. Who knows?
But I don't see much happening until BDD comes of age, and then we'll see if he can be someone who actually is able to convert the challenge, like the tier hype, the ladder hype, into actual play.
So here's a question for you. Everyone's hyping BDD as like, oh, he's amazing and so
second coming of Jesus.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Scout is like right up there with him. Why is no one hyping Scout? Like we saw Scout play one game and then immediately all the hype died. Like immediately everyone was like, I don't thought he was that good.
He had one bad Gangplank game. That's why.
Like,
oh no.
He played against a team that was everyone's like, oh, Net Cafe teams, and the Net Cafe team went on to win an IEM. So
yeah,
it's almost like the team still got played by Key and Crazy, being very good. Their jungler. Pretty good, and then you had Athena, who just kind of farmed.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm happy that CJ have finally bit the bullet and gotten some new players and invested in some young talent and gotten rid of some fucking of their space and ambition.
They almost went far enough.
So it's a rebuilding gear for CJ Entus. You know what I mean? I think a step in the right direction.
They're still going to play Shy in my life too much. I fear.
Yeah, it really depends. If Shy can actually like have motivation to play the game, he'll be good.
I would put at the moment CJ Entus on the same level I would put Jin Air on, as in you're not expecting much, but there is a potential for an upside, because we all know that Korean new starters can go on and do great things, but no one's expecting it. We're just you get to watch a new player once in a while. You go, oh, he's quite funny or whatever, but.
Yeah, I don't think they're e-mFire level bad.
But
I don't see them again. I see CJ has fallen from what they were last year, where they were like in the top 5. I guess 2 to 5 contenders, because SKT was on their own tier in Korea all of last year. But they CJ was always competing for 2nd and 3rd place basically, and now I see them kind of falling down to the middle of the pack, where you don't have teams that are really bad, but you don't have teams that are going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and like the other thing about this new CJ Entus lineup as well is like, I mean, I know Reach hasn't got the best reputation as a coach right now, but it's one of those where we don't actually know, like, because apparently there was all that stuff about behind the scenes, like Najin was like, oh no, you need to play these players and whatnot. So maybe he didn't get as much roster control as he should have done. If he's got more control, you know, he has had good results as a coach in the past. You know what I mean? Like
he's had a lot of good results.
Yeah, so maybe he can do something as well with this team. Like Kane's quite a smart guy as well, like, or seemingly a smart guy. He might be a retard, but he looks pretty smart every time I've watched an interview with him. So yeah, maybe the reinvigorated coaching staff can develop new talent. Reach does historically develop and scout new talent quite well.
That is one thing Najin was able to do when they were still a team.
Like you think about
they had a lot of quality
all the good
talent
players
out of
that
nowhere.
like came out under while Reach was coach of Najin. Maybe you can do the same with CJ Entus. This is definitely a team with the potential to go on and do well, but I just wouldn't expect it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm definitely not right now.
And the players they've got are all quite high in solo queue and stuff like that as well. Quite, so this is just a new generation of Korean players. This is the first glimpse into 2016 Korea. So, yeah.
Very interesting to see how the team plays, and then once BDD actually becomes 17, how they play after that. To see how much of a change there would be. So, anything else about the CJ Entus? No.
Nope.
Move on to what?
Nope.
We can move on to the disappointment of pretty much the off season in Korea of e-mFire. Sam, take it away.
Okay, so heading into like after Worlds, there were all these rumors saying that Najin e-mFire was going to sell their LCK spot. The big rumor going around was they were going to sell it to a company called Kongdu, which is a Korean like sort of player agency that has a prolific Brood War player on their payroll, and they were going to sell the brand, I guess, and that sounded exciting because it was like maybe they get some more funding, and apparently like Duke and Peanut were going to stay as well. Which, if you think about the timeline of people leaving in LCK, leaving Najin e-mFire makes sense as well. We see all players left except for Duke and Peanut, and then those two left after like a couple of days later. So there was definitely something wrong with that acquisition. Whether Kongdu did what like Echo Fox should have done and go, there's no one good left to buy in Korea right now, let's not buy the team, or whether the money just wasn't decided, like last minute wasn't there, and I don't know. So I get the impression that Najin were just kind of sort of forced to go, you just got to carry on, you know what I mean? We've got to carry on. So they dropped the Najin sponsorships, now it's just e-mFire. So it's not actually Najin anymore. Although Najin is still running the team, it's just not using their name anymore, which tells you a lot about the confidence they've got in the fucking team these days. Yeah, I don't know. I guess like because there's no auto relegation in Korea, like maybe their logic is if they can, these 5 players they picked up, maybe if they can become as good as the best Korean Challenger team, which is definitely possible due to the way that Korean Challenger is normally pillaged for everything it's worth, then maybe they can hold on the spot and then rebuild again a bit more in the summer when they get a better sponsor or something like that.
Not only is it pillaged.
It's not
pillaged by 4 regions.
Yeah, it's not as totally as bad as like if you like Tip in NA or Elements in Europe, in the sense of there is still the possibility for them to play in summer. And I also imagine they're paying those players fuck all. Like I imagine they're probably getting collectively paid like a bit of chewing gum and some Rice Krispies. Like so. Yeah.
We'll pay the internet bill. You gotta live. You have to live with your parents, but we're gonna pay your internet bill so you guys can practice.
All 5 Korean players have all 7 of them, more than that actually. All of the Korean players who run Najin before have been scattered to the far corners. Duke's gone to SKT, Freecs gone to Tigers, Tank's gone to Snake, Zephyr retired
to somewhere.
Kane's gone to CJ Entus, Oki's gone to TDK, Pio's gone to IM.
Watch went to streaming in China.
Yeah, Watch and Goong went to go stream in China and play on a team called ZTR. So, like, the only players that returned was Sol, who last year, so it's kind of tells you what a bit of a shit show this team is. Last year, Sol was the top lane sub for he was a top lane sub for Najin and played on their B team, but he was actually an ADC main who they made their top lane sub because they wanted Zephyr to be their AD sub. So maybe the fact that Sol's back on ADC will make him. He was all right as a he wasn't right. He was non-existent as a top laner.
Wasn't Guger also an AD carry sub?
Yes, so this is the other part as well. So Guga was originally the AD carry sub for Najin Black Sword, back when the roster was the Duke, Hojin, Koro, OQ, Kane roster. So the sort of late 2014 roster. He was the ADC sub on the same one as, in the sense that Pure was the support sub for Najin White Shield.
Yeah.
I don't know quite why they put their good ADC. They put the ADC sub on the team with the amazing ADC and the support sub on the team with the amazing support player. I'm not sure. I think it was mostly a formality. So Guga and Pure were like a sort of the sub bot lane of Najin. Never really played any games. Then at the end of 2014, Guga left, renamed himself to Lupin, and joined Taiwanese team Taipei Assassins, the Season 2 World Championships, alongside. And he did that because the coach of TPA was Sim Song Soo, who was a former coach of Najin Blacksword, back when the Najin Blacksword was the one with all the experienced players on. So, who was it? Limit, Helios, Nagne, Prey, and Kane. The roster that imploded because they got into a fist fight with each other. Basically, so the fist fight happened, like the team kind of fell apart. So Najin completely replaced the entire roster except for Kane, and they fired the coach that they had before because obviously, hey, mate, you let your players get into a big fucking fist fight with each other, you know. So Sim Sung Soo, to his credit, was dealt a shit hand because that team had too much ego on it anyway. So yeah, that is.
So basically, what I'm getting is Najin's quite the K-drama.
So now Lupin has returned to Korea, changed his name back to Guga, and now changed his role as well.
to support.
Now I know that early indications said to me that Guga was going to be the AD carry for Najin, and Lupin was going to be Guga was going to be the AD carry, and Sol was going to be the support, or that I think maybe Hippo was going to be the support, and Sol was going to be the top. Either way, it seems like in the last couple of days, a lot of them were just roster changing around. Because like, these are the players we've got. We just got to make this work, basically. So.
I think it'd be funny to just get 5 AD carry players and just like, whatever, just here you go.
It's like every game they just play a different role. It's like Soul Q. It's like, oh, all right, your first pick, you can go AD carry.
Yeah. What are some other ones? So Edge, we saw Edge play briefly on KT Rolster last year as the substitute mid laner for Nagne. His laning was better than Nagne, but he had no idea of what to do at any other point during the game.
Yeah, that was a problem.
But it's not harder to be a better laner than Nagne. Like Nagne was like the anti-Goong in the sense that he was terrible at laning and good at everything else, and Goong was great at laning and shit at everything else. So like they had the opposite problems of each other. If you could combine the two, you get like a good mid laner. I always said like they should have.
Or a really bad one.
Yeah, like a really bad one, depending on how much you fucked up that fusion dance. But
like, bad part.
Yeah, so we saw Edge play briefly on KT Rolster, and how many other ones? Roach as well.
Well, he's a sub and a mid.
He was apparently he was a sub on Najin, but like for like a month. I don't know. I think this guy's a new player. Is it Crush? One of them played on a Korean challenger team. Oh, that's right. Hippo played on
Young Glory.
Young Boss.
Was Young Boss? Sorry.
Young Boss, extremely briefly. Oh, no, he played in Young Boss in the Kesper Cup. That's right. He was the top laner on Young Boss, so I guess it makes sense to keep him in his original role. So yeah, that's the team.
God, this team is so confusing of who is playing where, what role they are, and all of their histories. It's just confusing as fuck.
Yeah, I know, right?
They're just the leftovers in Korea.
Yeah, this is the leftovers in Korea. They'll probably do what SBENU did last time.
I think they were just standing at the airport, like we need Korean players, and then the returning players like, oh, let's call it.
Like just knocking on people's doors, like, hey, what rank are you in Korean solo queue? Diamond 2. Right, okay, I've got this great job for you.
I don't think Diamond 2.
Really exciting prospect. But to stand out so they can try and get an offer for a better team. They'll probably do a SBENU and not win a single game. That would be my prediction for them.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't see this team winning a best of 3.
Although knowing Jin Air, they might drop a series to them in an inexplicable manner.
That's not.
Oh, Jin Air. Well,
Ooh.
Jin Air is our next team.
Oh yeah.
Let me see. We have Trace,
Still.
Pilot, Che, and Sweet returning. And then we have Kuzan has become the starting mid, and Winged, who we saw before, has become the starting jungle, as Chaser and GBM have left. And then we still have, what is it, Sohwan?
So yeah.
And-
So on.
And Blanc. Or I guess, how do you pronounce it? Because there's no K, so it's not blank. It's like Blanc.
Blanc. Yeah, you
I
can
think
say
Blanc
Blanc.
is
It's like French.
It's like LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Yeah, look,
Yeah.
You said Blanc. You
Oh.
you stuck before you pronounce it. Like
I
it's
know.
weird.
Stop before you yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it might be difficult for Americans to say, but us cultivated and cultured Europeans with can easily say complex words like blanc.
Blanc. Sure. It's not very hard.
they're very difficult. So we saw
White.
Gank My Mom, Captain Jack, and Chaser all leave the team from notable starters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we wanted pilots to like become the main carry anyway, but yeah, they missed like their solid 3-man carry sort of. So that
I still think Pilot is going to do a deft and become amazing.
Oh yeah. No, I have faith in pilot, but I mean.
I don't see that stopping him. I see the team stopping him. Like I don't see his personal potential. It's not like he has that potential to become a great player. I just think his team is gonna, like, the lack of team around him is going to
Yeah,
overshine
the
that.
problem is like the whole top half of the team is pretty inexperienced in professional play, and like they have some.
Or they can play
experience.
2 champions at a time.
Yeah, that too. Like they're not that great. Like like the Trace is still there, but someone's not necessarily an improvement overall. Wings has been okayish.
Okay, so Winged is bad.
Yeah.
Winged is bad. Sohan is promising but not good.
That's it, like that.
Well, I think we can talk about Sohwan when we talk about other other Korean top laners that have left Korea. He has a very similar effect that we'll see from them of pretty good, but he's just ballsy and insane and goes crazy and ham every time
Yeah.
and will be punished for it, and it makes him look either amazing by 2v1ing and escaping or getting a kill, or just, completely belly flopping.
I will say that his old tag of Exile was a lot better than Sohan, but why he changed it, I don't know.
It's all the rage now.
So this team, like when we saw this team at IEM, they played very aggressively, and they played like a sort of a team like you expect a team of 17-year-olds to play. You know what I mean? They were very much like, let's go in and go aggressive, and blah, 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 and like, they got punished for it and stuff like that. Like they didn't look in. They didn't. When I watched them play at IEM, it didn't look like. I think it was CLG they played. Yeah, CLG didn't look like they were like better individually. It just looked like CLG had played together longer as a team and were smarter, which was very weird. That was very weird watching a Korean team play a North American team, watch the Korean team lose on a strategic level.
Yeah, but it's a new Korean team like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like zero practice almost.
The interesting point of that is, will we see Jin Air return back to how they were, where they're much more tactical? Is that something that the coaching staff was able to instill, or is that something that the players on Jin Air were able to instill within their own team? That, I think, will be the interesting point with looking at Jin Air, is how will their play kind of adapt over the season?
Yes.
Are the coaches the ones responsible for why Jin Air became such a kind of at times very hesitant, very kind of slow-paced team, or will they continue being this kind of crazy brash team where the 17-year-old nature's kind of over?
Yeah, I don't think any of the players on this team are bad. I just don't think they're very good either. Like Che is still a pretty good support player. Pilot might be a great ADC this year. I think he has the potential to kind of explode as an AD carry. In terms of like, you see moments of like sort of great play from him, but generally he just seems to sort of roll over. But then that kind of reminds me of what Deft used to play like until Dade joined the team, and then Deft kind of went insane. So he might do that kind of thing.
Yeah, but see, Jin Air right now doesn't really have a Dade.
Yeah, but they can always get Dade though. They could always get Dade, and he'd look good in that.
Actually, get Dade. Yeah.
Imagine if they got Dade and Kakao and Peekaboo.
I'd be sad to say.
Three free agents that are missing in the team. So
Like, they're not contracted to the team, so as soon as they get a better offer, they can leave. But just play for us for as long as you want.
Just get some wins.
And any job's better than no job. Like, it's the same as CJ Entus. There's a lot of young players on this team, and they just need to get rid of winged, and maybe they could do some damage, I think.
You get him. Finding Korean junglers these days is not easy.
No.
there's a lot being pulled abroad.
Yeah. Yes, there are.
Anything else? I mean, other than we think Pilot's probably going to be good, do you think they're going to start Trace or Sohwan? Or do you think they're kind of going to swap them out?
Well, yeah, probably. They don't know it yet, I think.
I think they'll start Sohwan, and then if Sohwan like plays bad, they'll go back to Trace. But I actually think that Trace is on the team in like a sort of coach player like role, in the same way that Kane was on Najin last year, and Hom was on Samsung for a while as well, in the sense of like it's not like they're gonna. It's not. I don't think we're gonna see Trace play. I just think he's there to be a coach for this, because obviously he's like 29 now or something bonkers. Like I'm pretty sure he's the old. I'm pretty sure he's actually the oldest pro gamer right now, because Kane is Zephyr retired. Kane's
he's
now
89.
coach. And pardon?
He was born 1989.
He's older than that, isn't he?
So by Korean standards, he'd be 28, but he's actually 27.
Okay, yeah, but yeah. So I don't know. Like, I think that I think I can't imagine like. I think he's in some kind of coaching player risk role. You know what I mean? Like a sort of player coach rather than a sort of that's my. But I think they might play if Sohwan plays really badly.
Yeah.
They didn't bring him to IEM, did they?
Nope.
They couldn't even bother to pay for a plane ticket for him. So
They would have to pay for 2 seats. That's good jokes.
Well, they couldn't get Chaser to play either. So I wonder if they tried to get him more than just a plane ticket to get him to play. So, moving on to the next team, then we have our terrific KT Rolster, who now has Hachani back on the team, just in case they need anyone to face check some bushes for them.
Johnny, the gift that just keeps on giving.
This guy, dude. He doesn't want to leave. No, I don't think they're actually gonna play it though.
I fucking love him. It's a Johnny. Like, it's like the best sitcom that ever.
No.
The more interesting thing I have to say is the pickup of Fly, the old Jin Air mid laner from 2 years ago. He was on Stealths, right?
Yeah, he used to be on the Jin Air Stealths.
Yeah.
He was a He was like. He was a lot like Kuro, the role that he played on Black Sword, in the sense that he was a control mage player who took a more sort of backseat role and sort of a utility, like mid laner, as it were. Sort of it was part of the rise of utility mid laners that we saw in Korea at the end of 2014, and then like he obviously left, but some of them kind of went on and did more things in 2015. So
he played on the team with Tracer, Real Foxy, aka Chaser.
Yeah.
With not GBM. Well, GBM was a sub, but with Captain Jack and Che.
No,
that was the team.
No. GBM was on the Falcons. There were 2 Jin Air teams.
Yeah.
There was the
Yeah.
Falcons.
So he was on the team where I thought was actually going, like, before the sister teams died. I thought that they had a real chance. They were showing promise.
Yeah,
they were actually competing within the actual OGN Championship League.
Yeah.
And playing very well in the tournaments and getting places. Whereas the second he left, I kind of got very hesitant, because though I liked GBM, I didn't really see Jin Air doing much, and then he was able to surprise and came out as a much better player than I think anyone could have imagined.
It's clear that Jin Air preferred Fly when the one-team rule came in, because originally GBM left Jin Air. They kept Fly. Then Fly got the Young Glory offer. So he left, and then they re-signed GBM. So it's very much clear, at least from an outsider's perspective, that Jin Air coaching staff preferred Fly to GBM. Whether that's still applicable now, because obviously players go up and down, and I mean, I haven't watched Fly play for a year. I remember him being pretty good. So how much damage China did to him is really the question. Like, but he got repicked up by KT, and KT dropped 2 mid laners to have him, so they don't have a mid lane sub anymore. So they got to have a bit of confidence in him.
I have more bigger concerns with Arrow than with Fly. Like,
Yeah,
I can see Fly doing stuff.
I think the issue with Arrow is that he's still the same player he's been since he first emerged.
I know.
He's very cute, but very clumsy ADC. That's how I describe him. Very.
Yeah, there's not much else really to be said about. I mean, Arrow has been Arrow. He can carry and can play great, but he can also completely go on like horribly wrong in lane phase and just become pretty much irrelevant.
Yeah.
Space is gone, and we still need Arrow to go. Then I'll be happy.
The issue with Arrow as well is like last time he was playing with Peekaboo, who like made him a lot easier for him to get through laning phase. Now he's playing with Ignar. He's a good support player and good, but like not quite Peekaboo level. So is that Arrow gonna look even worse? I don't know.
I mean, it'll actually be interesting because Ignar has been pretty like he was one of the shining spots of IM.
Yeah, he was probably the shining spot of IM. I think the only player on him and Frozen were the only players on IM that didn't have 4 substitutes behind them at all times. Due to IM's like 20-man roster that they had last year. Like, that was the thing. I think IM just had a lot of money last year. I just think they spent it in the wrong way. They were like, let's sign as many players as possible for the best, rather than let's sign a few really good players.
They had 4 horrible top laners. I mean,
yeah, Apple, Expression, what's his name? The guy who never dies, or dies all the time, depending on who you would think about it.
Lilac?
Yeah, Lilac.
And
I mean the Professor?
Yeah, and they had someone else as well. I can't remember. Just cycled through them every game. No, so I think this KT team, I think is a top 4 roster in Korea. I just think it's probably the 4th place team in Korea.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I don't think they have quality enough to actually make a dent in the actual top teams.
Like, I think you'll see a drop off from last year, but it's not going to be as substantial as you'd see from Jin Air or CJ because they're not losing really the carry or the staple of them. They still have Score. They still have Sunday.
Yeah, but they lost.
It'll be interesting to see actually if Score can continue without Peekaboo. But
the big question, like the problem is, let's say you went down KT compared to IM or Longzhu as they're now known. So like Sunday's better than Flame. That's not up for debate anymore. Especially when we saw what happened with 1v1 with LGD versus KT. Like Sunday looked great in those games. Score versus Chaser. I think Chaser kind of edges out. Score's really good though. Coco.
The issue with Score though is that he had Peekaboo when he started looking really good, and I would take Score over Chaser because Score is like during that time period he was a lot more consistent. You knew exactly what you're getting out of him. With Chaser was kind of there's the issue of the whole Jin Air not being able to do what he wanted, him trying to carry every fucking game.
Yeah, but I think it would be better now.
He is a bit more hit or miss in the summer than Score was.
But then you compare Coco to Fly. Like Fly's a good player. Coco's amazing. Coco's fucking beast. Coco. This is what annoys me. Like people praise Bjergsen to the end of the earth. Don't give Coco any praise. I'm like Coco was in a living nightmare compared to what Bjergsen was in. Like he had literal shit all around him and was bodying everyone in sight. Like he was in the fucking nightmare scenarios and the old CJ Entus lineup. He didn't care. He was like, I'm gonna fucking dominate this whole game. Like he put in more carry performances than any player in 2015. I think hard carry performances. Like where it was like either I win or this fucking team does not work kind of thing. Like that was his whole fucking reality last year. And then you've got
definitely the number 2 mid laner in the world.
Yeah, you've got versus that's also why anyone used to get those LPL fans last year who were like, there are 4 mid laners in the world that matter. Pawn, Rookie, Faker, and Godfrey. Everyone else is irrelevant except for Easy, who is pretty good. I'm like, well, you don't actually watch League of Legends, then, do you, mate? Like, you don't actually watch it because you would know that Coco will body any of those bitches left, right, and center, except unless they're called Faker. Like Coco was a god last year. And then you compare like Arrow to Fury. Like Fury takes that one hands down. And then what? Pure to Ignar. Ignar is probably a bit better, but like my problem is when you compare the talent on Longzhu to the talent on KT, Longzhu has an advantage there. So KT are going to need to play like strategically incredible to beat Longzhu. And I'm not even like, I think Tigers and SKT have more talent than Longzhu. So how's it going to work out for them? The point.
Well, now talking since we've started Longzhu, we can add them into the conversation too.
Well, before we do though, last year, remember, KT had an alright roster, but it wasn't great. Then they added Peekaboo and the whole team kind of went, "Whoop." Maybe they'll, at some point this year, manage to do the same thing where they'll just add like an incredible player and just
Peekaboo?
like
We still have Kakao, Peekaboo, and Dade, who have not signed to any team.
Those three are still free agents, you know, like it wasn't like what was his name? Fixer got benched last year because he was a bad player. He just got benched for literally like the best player in like one of the best players in the world. Like maybe it's the same situation with you know, with Fly and like Dade and sense of okay, Dade's not proven, but maybe Dade could, like if you added like a carry threat like how we know Dade could play, that could be what could take KT over the edge. You know what I mean? Like in terms of the shot calling finesse and the hard carry powers he brings to that lineup. So maybe that's one way they could do it. Maybe they could re-bring Kakao back and Scott would go back into AD carry. I don't fucking know. But I have faith that KT will make some kind of clever roster change midway through the year that will just go and make their team go whoop. I think.
I do think right now it's not going to be that easy for them, since I feel like Peekaboo is such a vital role for the team that without him, and it's not. I mean, Peekaboo got arrow through laning phase and then helped score. I mean, I'm not sure how much Ignark is going to be able to fill those shoes in, and yeah, it's not going to be easy. But at least the rest of the teams around them is like they'll probably stick around the top 4 indeed, or top 5.
I think they'll be top 4, top 5 definitely.
I mean, there's not much that can.
Some of the other teams that fell off. But. So with Longzhu, we have the return of Flame.
That's the least exciting player on this roster. I don't know why everyone's hyping up Flame.
Well,
everyone loves Flame.
Technically pure. A bit less.
The more disappointing thing of the whole Longzhu is you have Frozen once again relegated to not playing.
that guy worked his ass off an entire year with suckers, and then now he gets benched.
Not only that, but if you know his champion pool, like that guy loves Lux. And if that item, what is it, Frost Queen's Claim, still exists and is still as stupid broken as it is when the game begins, he would be ridiculous.
Yeah, like this is the same situation as where like Peekaboo, was where Easy Hoon and Faker were both on SKT. Like, I think Frozen's a great player. Do I ever want to see him play over Coco? No, of course not. Coco's. I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, what situation would you play Coco? Like, they'll probably do it, and then people will be like, "Look at the coaching brilliance from Longzhu and how they could utilize." Well, no, we just don't play him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I do like. I think Frozen's great. I just don't get why he's still in this Longzhu lineup because I don't want to watch him play on Longzhu.
Yeah, that's some other team.
Like, he'd be an upgrade for Jin Air for sure. I don't think he should go to e-mFire.
Well, no.
He'd be. I don't know if he'd be an upgrade on KT, but because I haven't seen Fly play in a very long time.
KT is hard. Is CJ gonna fuse?
He would be.
CJ won't pick him up because BDD. They're just waiting for him.
Yeah. We'd all like to see him as a sub on Tigers, perhaps.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Because I'm quite happy for Tigers to rotate out mid laners as they work out whether or not they can get a player better than Kuro because they exist. But Kuro's pretty good. Like, Kuro's pretty good, so can they get a great mid laner, or are they better off staying with the pretty good like role player on the team? Who knows?
Tigers doesn't have to switch players, but they should look for new players for mid and AD carry like this year.
Well, they've got a new mid laner.
Oh yeah, they have like Sylph.
Well, I'll talk about him in a second.
I say so. Before we get into the ROX Tigers, we have the best pickup, in my opinion. LZIM was able to sneak in there at the last second, grab Captain Jack.
Well, they need him because Fury is banned for a month.
Because-
Yeah,
yeah.
this is
So-
a classic example of like of the who like somebody just being like to Captain Jack, like, come on mate, just do me a solid, play for like 3 weeks and we'll pay you this money and then you can fuck off, and be like, yeah, right. I mean, the university doesn't start until this date, so yeah, sure, I can do it. Like Captain Jack said, he doesn't want to play a full year. Fury is is banned until like March or something because he doesn't understand poaching rules. That nobody, by the way, no one understands those poaching.
Yeah, I would say
except
I don't understand
who
them
choose
either.
when to apply
So.
them.
It's pretty
It's
dumb.
like sometimes it's poaching, sometimes it's like, oh, that was just good fun.
Yeah, sometimes it's poaching, sometimes it's in good fun, and sometimes it deserves a fine, sometimes it deserves a ban. It is. I think the criteria that Riot uses is goes: is the player who violated the poaching law on CLG, TSM, or any other big North American team? If yes, fine. If no, ban. Like, I think that's their fucking criteria for that.
Oh,
But whatever. I will say, Captain, like, you know what? I like Captain Jack. He's a bit of an like pillar of Korean law and stuff like that, and it'd be fun to watch him play a few games before he goes out and plays a glory. This is a good like sort of lap of honor for his career, I think.
See, the thing about Captain Jack is I still don't think he has hit that point where if he continues to play, it will be like, wow, he really has degraded.
Oh yeah.
He was still able to be like up. He was still able to be a top-notch 80 carry throughout all of last year, even though I was like, Pilot's really great. Why don't we just play Pilot? Like,
the problem is you don't really want to carry on your career when you're like just about good enough. You want to kind of end. That's the kind of point you want to end it at, really. Like, unless you get some like mad money offer, where they're like, we're going to pay you £1 million a day to just like stand around. It's like, well, obviously I'll go do that. But you don't want to play like if the big money offer's not there, like, prop to him. Like, he's going to go to university and like get a career and stuff like that. You can't really knock the guy for doing that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like
I'm gonna miss him playing. I mean, he was one of my favorite players, and he's been such a role player on many teams, and seems to be able to like get people to not, I would say, play to his style, but improve. Like, he has played with other 80 carries that when he has left, they have improved. So then we have like IM has also a sub for every single position too. But unlike a different team in NA that went for a 10-man roster, this 10-man roster actually has depth. So
it's not a PR stunt. It's actually like they're actually probably going to use these players in some capacity. Although I'm not sure if they should. I can see the purpose in perhaps switching out. The ultimate nightmare for Flame will be he gets onto LGR
and Expression
for the whole year. They just play Expression for the whole year. Like, Aurelia becomes the most meta pick ever, and Expression's like,
well, Flame was a good.
I don't know. Flame was great on her. Like,
yeah.
The issue with like Expression is that every player, like every champion he can play, it's like, yeah, Flame used to be a god on that champ too. So.
Yeah.
like,
They're both from the.
I always say, like, Expression's like, he peaked at the wrong time, you know, he peaked on the wrong teams in the wrong metas and stuff like that. Like, but hey, he signed with the team. He's like the old. What best part is he's like the old buddy of Flame. You know what I mean? Like that, like OGN. Like we're talking. There was a time where like Flame versus Expression was like the fucking premier matchup in Korean top lane, and now it's like Expression's like. So yeah, that would be funny. Like, first series, like, I can't wait to watch Flame. Oh, it's Expression. Oh, okay, fair enough. Like, oh, he's gonna play Jax. No, of course he is. Of course he's gonna play Jax. Like,
the only question I have, well, I mean, I guess it's not really much of an issue, to be honest, depending on if they can keep Flame to playing how he was playing in China, is that you have Flame, who likes money, Chaser, who likes money, Coco loves money, and then Fury loves money. Like, when they have Captain Jack in there, I think that'll actually be pretty good, because Captain Jack is a lot more of, I'll play Sivir, press R, and let you guys kill everything.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think Fury wants money. I think he was just the best player on Samsung, so they just gave him all the money.
Do those players need money, or have they previously been put onto teams where it's like, if I don't carry, we're going to lose, so I'm just going to take everything and hope for the best? Like,
I mean, well, that's all we've seen from them, though, is that they've had the mentality. We've seen players that have had the mentality of, I need to carry to win. And I think Goon was one of them that we saw where he felt the need. He always felt the need where he has to carry, even on times where he could have just played like a control support mage, just farmed up a bit and just assisted in team fights. He still kind of played like, if I don't carry, this team's not going to win. It's like you had OQ and Duke. You can play defensively for
last year he just needed the goal because he was horrible if he wasn't like 5k ahead, and he was still horrible then.
And I do like this Longzhu roster as well, because it's like they took like the best player on a bunch of teams that were all right, one team together and go, let's see what happens. Like, so like Chase is the best player on Jin Air, Coco is the best player on CJ Entus, Furio is the best player on Samsung. We've got the 3 prime carries for all 3 teams that could have broken into that kind of top 5, or top 4 really, because depending on where you put Najin last year, but didn't quite manage it. You know what I mean? So like all those teams had moments where they looked like a top 4 team in Korea. Well, maybe not Samsung, but yeah. So it's exciting in that purpose, in the sense of like these were a lot of players who've been trapped in a kind of weird elo hell like state for a while and are now out of it. So.
But now they have to be able to work together, though.
Now they have to work together. But their coaching staff is... Who is their coaching staff again? I don't think it's the old IM coach. The guy who looked like he should have been the cute... Oh, no, maybe he is still there.
Lust Boy?
Yeah, Lust Boy's there. I'm just wondering if there was the guy like he should have been in the Yakuza is still on the team.
Kang Dong-hun? I don't know. I don't know if he was the previous one for IM. Let me see.
Yeah.
If I can find
Coach Kang, I think he was. I think it's the same head coach. But we have to question how reliable eSportspedia is as well for Korean knowledge.
Actually, it's not too bad.
I think it's pretty.
Usually they try to keep up.
Yeah, I mean, I know they try.
If they don't know, they don't really write it.
But yes, the death of IM, long live IM. Former coach, yeah, Coach Kang.
Yeah. As regards to their subs, I don't know any of their substitute names. Crash and Zeus, really.
I don't know Crash and Zeus, but I mean all the other ones.
Well, yeah, the other ones are there.
Yeah. I'm wondering how much play they'll get, or whether they're planning on going all in on the Korean Reserve League. Is the Korean Reserve League still a thing? I'm not sure.
I have no idea. I haven't seen or heard anything about that.
I think so. But...
It would seem weird if they would drop it, but then, especially because some of these teams actually have quite big rosters and stuff like that. But then so many teams last time just didn't bother competing. Cough, cough, SKT, cough, cough, CJ Entus. Just, we're not going to bother playing in this. SBENU will, though. Thanks, SBENU.
SBENU's main roster, too. That was the best. Their main roster played against the sub-league and still couldn't win.
No, Najin was destroying this.
So, I mean, I think we all have high hopes for Longzhu. We just hope that they can work together and actually, earn those hopes.
A tiny bit salty. OQ is not on that lineup, but yeah.
I'm a bit, I guess, but I mean, it's not like. I mean, yes, I like OQ, but I also like Fury too.
Yeah,
Fury
I do, but
great.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I think I'm salty. Just OQ isn't.
Either way, Fury or OQ would have been with TDK. So it's like.
One of them would have joined TDK, yeah.
So
I know that TDK outbid Longzhu for OQ, so.
Yeah, it was so dumb that they did it.
So now we can get to Sam's new favorite team. Which means it spells nothing but doom, defeat, destruction, and disappointment.
I won £250 of them. They've already done me well.
Tigers has been awesome all year.
The ROX Tigers, which I actually have to say with Peanut. It'll be very, very interesting to see how he plays, because with Peanut coming in, as long as Kuro can continue to play up to the level that he was before, I'm not even speaking of like where he played at Worlds where he was better. I mean like during all of last year where he was just kind of a great supportive player. He can now support Smeb and Peanut and Prey and Gorilla. Like this lineup seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. It seems.
We just have to see how good Peanut actually is, and because he's like.
Well, if he can adapt to the team, or if the team kind of adapts around him a bit.
Yeah, like what's good about this Tigers roster is they've taken their worst player, Hojin, and their biggest weakness, and what forced them to have almost no early game pressure and stuff like that, and they've replaced him with a player who had a lot of early game pressure in the very few games we saw him in. It's not a mechanical downgrade at all. Like Peanut's mechanics are incredible. The issue with Peanut is he's very brash, explosive.
This is where I disagree. I don't think there's much of a change between watching Hojin and watching Peanut. Peanut may be a bit more rash, but Hojin was as kind of stupid on certain plays. Like he'd do something, but you look at it like he have to like use an escape move to get out or flash to get out of a poor of a situation. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you instantaneously realized I've made a huge mistake.
Peanut will try and make plays, whereas I don't like Hojin never did anything.
I think the issue is that Peanut used to like just do solo invades in times that he should not have done that. So he had no team backup and then just got kills. Like Hojin just does stupid things when ganking or randomly meeting someone in the jungle.
Yeah, is Peanut can Peanut evolve enough to the point where he can become an asset to ROX Tigers rather than a limit? Like, I think if he played as well as he probably could play, he could be a really smart jungler who's really with his great mechanics and adds another level to ROX Tigers and gives them enough early game pressure so that they can win games in the early game that they'll then snowball with great shot calling, and yet they'll still have the ability to come back thanks to their great shot calling as well, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So the only issue in leaving ROX Tigers is that he was apparently the team captain before. So I don't know exactly what kind of role he had in sort of, what his team captain role extended to or anything like that. But
I'd be surprised if he was the main shot, if he was the only shot caller, considering you have Gorilla and Smeb.
Yeah, he wasn't. He categorically wasn't the main shot caller, but I think I don't know. Is it?
Well, I don't expect him to have a large voice, considering you have Smeb and Gorilla on that team, and it seemed like wherever they went, the team kind of followed up on that. Whereas very much the others, like Prey, was gotten to a point where he could sustain himself within the lane and not die, and was able to farm under tower or farm effectively. And Gorilla and Smeb would just go around and make plays and get the kills.
Yeah, I know that. Prey and Kuro are the oldest players on ROX Tigers now. So whether or not they'll be the new team. One of them will be the new team captain, I'm not sure. But I'm sure they'll work it out. This is still when you think about how old this team has been around for a year and what they achieved last year, they had an amazing first year as a team, they're contender to win LCK next split, really. I think you'd be hard pressed to argue they weren't at least a top 2 team in Korea right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For me, it's Longzhu is still the unknown, so I put them in third right now. We'll see what happens. But yeah, ROX and SKT are just they haven't. ROX, in my opinion, upgraded, but we'll have to see how Peanut does. And then SKT is they just swapped out top industry.
Yeah, it's a suck. They might have stepped backwards, but that's not due to individual skill. That's due to
I think SKT fell off as soon as they let EasyHoon go.
Yeah, damn it!
It was when Tom left, you fool.
And they replaced him with Blank.
Yeah, he was the.
Oh, it's actually we have Blank. I'm Blank now.
So we have 2 more teams before we can get to the best team in the world, according to LoL Esports.
Wait, are we talking about TSM today?
No. Well. No, they have
actually,
we will not be
because they don't have Korean players. Yes. So Samsung, we still have QV. Well, they have Helper and Ambition. They picked up both from CJ.
Oh, great!
Now they have Core JJ from Dignitas.
I have zero hype for Samsung anymore because their Fury is gone, and they got Ambition, so it's done.
I think the issue with them is simply the Ambition part, because Crown wasn't terrible. I mean, he wasn't ridiculously remarkable, but I don't think Core JJ and Wraith are going to disappoint. I think they'll be fine.
Well, fine, but I saw Samsung growing to a top 16.
Yes,
right now I don't see them doing anything.
Someone took a screwdriver to the head and was like, "Let's pick up Ambition."
Yeah.
Who wants Ambition? It's
yeah.
Apparently, Samsung.
I get that CJ wants to get rid of him, but who actually? Oh man. Samsung, you
maybe it was a package deal with
Helper.
CJ Entus coach. What's his name? Because they've got the old CJ Entus coach as their new coach. So
they did that. Why wouldn't they just have Coach Kim Jung So.
Yeah, Kim Jong So, and is the
Why
new.
don't they just like take him and just have Ambition go into a coaching role?
I don't know. Who knows why people?
I don't think Eve was that bad.
No.
You know what? This is a decision where when people make a terrible decision, you should not mock the decision as soon as they've made it. You should wait for it to go terrible and then mock them.
I just think Ambition is to the point where if he wants to continue doing something in esports with League, it should be a coaching role, and that he is well beyond his time in the sun.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, you're preaching to the choir here. You know, I don't think anyone who's watching this show thinks Ambition's still a really good player and still deserves,
It's just surprising.
Yeah, exactly. It is surprising.
Like, just to think about him, like, just try and get in his mind and be like, is this like just something you want to keep doing? Is this something that you have? Because it seems that you didn't improve. He didn't improve or anything. Like the entire time he played jungle, there was not a vast improvement. He just
there was no improvement. He was just sitting there.
Changed champions.
Mm.
He just went from mid lane to jungle. That's it. Yeah.
But it's very weird because Eve was one of the junglers that was improving over time. He wasn't great, he wasn't bad, but he was improving. And then they also got rid of Luna.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't get rid of Eve. Eve was contracted to Coast for the entire summer. It's just Coast lent him back to Samsung. So
I mean, like they didn't re-sign him.
Yeah.
He's not on the
I
team.
don't think they had the option to, because I think Eve was probably if he signed a contract with Coast in between spring and summer, it probably would have been a year-long contract. So therefore, it's probably still in contract.
Them till
So
summer.
it's probably still in contract. I know that Coast are putting together a new team with Saint Vicious as the coach, Eve as the jungler, and Police the old
AD carry from Ever.
Yeah, the old AD carry from Ever.
So excited for that team.
I'm not sure whether this is a team that Coast are planning on putting into LCS and then selling, or whether they're planning on actually keeping this team in the LCS.
This is the thing that tilts me out of ridiculousness, is that if I was the managers of Coast, I would I'd get 5 players that I knew could be good enough to get into the LCS every year, pay them enough money that they'd want to stay in the team, and then every time I got the LCS, sell the spot and just keep getting auto-promoted teams and just sell it for $2 million and split it with the players.
I don't think that's an exact science, because I think that any player who's guaranteed to get into LCS, you gotta remember, Coast weren't guaranteed to get into LCS last time. The reason they got in was because enemy totally melted down on stage.
I just mean if you can get the auto promotion spot, get that and sell it and be like, you guys want to play in the LCS, or do you want $200,000 twice a year? I can get you $400,000 a year. I would take that.
Plus, it's not actually that easy to sell LCS spots. Otherwise, Tip and Elements wouldn't be sitting on one that they don't.
I think Tip and Elements, they both had offers. They just were like, well, it's too low. Oh.
Yeah, but then does that mean you're going to get $1 million a year? I mean, $2 million a year.
You're probably going to get close to $2 million a year.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if this new Coast roster is guaranteed to get into the LCS. TDK's there now, aren't they? So
I still think that's a smarter decision than what Coast has been doing before. So
yeah, Tip get also relegated. TDK.
They also get destroyed and smashed constantly for being this team that's just a challenger team that keeps bringing people up.
The challenger team with all good players and never does anything. Good players. They're very big names and
yeah. So, but back to my original point, I don't know whether Samsung actually had the option to re-sign Eve, or whether because he was owned by Coast, so they think they would have had to buy out the contract from Coast.
Yeah, of course.
So that's the issue.
I know.
So
Samsung does seem to
move on to SBENU for all of 2 minutes.
Oh.
No changes on the team.
Well, except the floor.
Catch is gone. That's a change.
Yeah.
Well, they still have they didn't add anything new. They have players from all of the last time. They have Flawless, which is nice.
Yeah.
And they still have Sasin, but they still have Sora and Soul in the top lane that aren't particularly noteworthy. And then they have Nuclear and Secret, who were average at best.
Yeah.
I don't really see.
But
much
they
else.
won't be last, at least, hopefully.
No, they probably won't be last
They will
because
be ninth.
flawless is really good and e-mFire is a thing that exists.
Yeah, exactly.
So then they'll be ninth, maybe eighth, depending on how well Africa Freecs and Samsung play.
We don't think they'll beat Africa Freecs.
Ugh.
Freecs. Too strong. Alright, let's just get to the
Best team in the world. All their players are the number one in the world, including Duke because he just joined. So Duke is the number one top laner in the world because SKT won the championship.
Yeah.
Well,
Suck it, everyone that uses logic and facts and knowledge and observation.
Duke.
I'm just going to use the whole fact of they hold the championship. Therefore, all of their players are the number one until someone else holds that championship.
Mar no longer number one. He left the team.
Yeah, sorry, bud.
I don't think he
So
cares.
obviously they replaced Martin with Duke, and
It's just not
that's about it.
necessarily a downgrade at all.
They lost Tom and Easyhoon, and they picked up Blank, and Scout is now the new Easyhoon.
Yeah, exactly. We still need to do Scout now, though. Like, we need that third mid lane prodigy.
Yeah, like what I find interesting about SKT is that SKT have substitutes historically in jungle and mid, which I think are probably the roles they least need subs for.
They're just afraid to ever lose them, I guess, or something. No,
Yeah.
I mean,
I know, because like Bengi has and there's tons of memes and jokes about Bengi not being great, but he has been an absolute rock for the team
Yeah.
for almost his entire time playing for them.
But he did have that year where he played like shit.
yeah, that 2014 wasn't too great, but
He did,
His
but I don't think
little
he was the
trash can.
only. I wouldn't say he was the reason they tanked. They had a lot of issues.
No, but he was definitely a reason.
He was definitely a reason. He wasn't the only. Like he was not good. I will give you that. For 2 other years he's played with them though, he has been everything they need.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did have a pretty garbage year, along with the fact that they played with Piglet, who had a very, very, very off year.
So Blank apparently played for Energy Pacemaker Carries and Starhorn Royal Club last year. So apparently Blank has spent an entire year in China. So I get like this is an LPL player who's returning, which is always nice to see. He played in LSPL though, not LPL. So his like top flight experience is none. But he is an experienced player in the sense of he did start apparently quite a few games for both those teams. So he does actually have a bit of like on stage experience in some. But then I know that the LSPL is like filmed in a really crappy studio. So who knows? Apparently both players can hear each other on comm. Like both teams can hear the other one's comms if they listen hard enough and stuff like that. So. But
I'd be very interesting to see how he played though, because Bengi's style is, I would say, a bit unique for the past year. He still kind of played more of the supportive, and didn't really play. He didn't move into carry position or try to carry.
Yeah. Let me have a look. So with Energy Pacemaker Carries, he re-qualified for the LSPL in the sense that Energy Pacemaker Carries originally were relegated from the LSPL, then re-qualified. Then he was relegated again from the LSPL with Starhorn Royal Club. So far his competitive experience. Both times.
He was in relegation with from LPL, not LSPL, I think.
No, it says LSPL.
No.
So apparently his competitive record so far says that he's been relegated both times he's joined a team.
He has not played many games either.
No, but he has played a few. I don't know. What is there really to say about this SKT that hasn't been said already to death?
Yeah.
We have to wait and see, really, with this roster.
Faker's amazing. Ah.
Yeah, Faker's the best player in the world. Duke's
Scout's clearly garbage after one game.
Scout's terrible because we've seen him play one game and he wasn't the second coming of Faker, therefore he's literal trash. Bang's the best AD carry in the world. If you understand the way AD carry is played, he's not, obviously, but that's what SKT fans say.
Well, that spring season where he dominated the fuck with Lucian. Like some of his Lucian games were
Sure.
outstanding.
Well, Bang's
But that's his peak.
Bang's,
That's his peak.
Bang's a great AD carry, but it's easy to be a great AD carry when you've got Faker on your team.
Well, I mean, like, if you look back, Faker did have not the greatest spring split, and Bang really did carry that team. But again, that's something you have to realize. That's his peak.
Dude.
He doesn't always hit that.
You have to realize Faker was playing an amazing Lulu that game, dude. And just saying.
Oh yes, he was playing amazing Lulu, but like that's still not the thing you expect Faker to play.
Well, no, but he still does.
It was very weird why they put themselves into that situation to begin with, to be honest with you. But
okay.
Very weird. There's a lot of situations that SKT put themselves in. I'm like, wait, why are they doing this?
Yeah.
Why did they first play
he has played amazingly, but I think people remember those games so because of how well he played and how precise he was at having insane amount of movement speed and abusing the shit out of it. But he's never really gone back to that same level.
No,
but he's just been stable.
He hit that for maybe a month, and then he went back down to him being normal, which is enough to win a game when you were the third carry.
Yeah, I don't know. This SKT new roster what's interesting about this SKT is are the other teams in Korea able to step up to their level, or will SKT fall off and therefore another team will win it by default? You know what I mean? Like,
will they be able? Is someone going to be able to stop, get in their way and actually beat them?
Will SKT be stopped, and if they will be stopped, will it be themselves stopping, or will it be some other team stopping them? You know what I mean? Like that's the interesting part about SKT, I think. They have changed a player, but it's not a downgrade. It's
pretty much a side grade. I think the issue might be that Marn did do some shot calling, and Duke has been many times you've heard he's been kind of quiet.
Yeah, I think that the SKT might manage to sort out Duke's comms, but who knows? Who knows?
I think they'll be fine. They're still a team to watch, nevertheless.
Yeah, there's still it's still like, what is the first match fixing in Korea? What is the first game that's going to be played?
CJ SKT.
CJ SKT. That's SKT.
We have Anarchy versus
Freecs.
KT.
Are there any
LZM.
the first week? No, there aren't
the only
any
three
big
games the first week are going to be, I guess, LZ versus Jin Air.
Ooh.
I guess that's actually a decent one.
Pretty much it.
Yeah, a lot of those look like easy victories for the top 4 team. Really, we don't see a top 4 team in Korea playing another top 4 team until the end of week 2, where until week 2, where KT play ROX Tigers, and then in end of week 2, LZ play ROX Tigers.
I still don't think that KT ROX. I still think ROX Tigers should take that. Unless Peanut is a significant burden to the team, I don't see.
Yeah, but I think that's the first time we'll see these teams, like the top teams in Korea, really tested and stuff like that. The first game SKT play against a top team is week 3, where they play ROX Tigers. So you're not looking at like a sort of,
Oh, so they have 3 teams in a row. They have 3 games in a row versus kind of what we expect to be the upper. No, because they play KT, then LZ, then SKT.
Yeah, exactly. Let me have a look. Third week. It's all pretty obvious. Fourth week, pretty obvious. Oh my god. 5th week, holy shit! There's no games played in the 5th week.
This is the break in
SKT versus KT in the 5th week.
This is Lunar New Year, that's why.
Yeah. 6th week.
6th week is when you have SKT LZ.
Oh yeah, SKT LZ. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, we'll see as we see a few of the games play out, and we get to see who's actually competitive against each other.
Yeah.
Because even two teams that are in the middle are kind of fun to watch. What's the issue being is when you have lower teams that they can play against each other well, but it's like who gives a shit?
Who cares?
Like having
whether Samsung at 8th or Africa at 8th, you know what I mean? But
like watching the mid-lane games, the teams that are kind of going for 5 through 8, 4 through 8, those teams can be pretty interesting.
Yep.
But we'll see if anyone can knock SKT off the throne. I think this year we will. I think ROX Tigers should be able to.
yeah,
Yeah.
Longzhu have a lot of like star power on their team as well. It's a team of stars essentially, and pure.
I think the best thing that Longzhu could do is if they go kind of choose game to game who's going to be the main carries. Like leave Coco. I mean, obviously the mid laner pretty much carries, is a carry threat at all times because of just how much gold they naturally get from their position. But with Flame or Chaser or Captain Jack or / Fury, kind of they can choose which game they should be getting the gold, and then they can funnel into the person. I think it's going to be the correctly because any of those 4 players can carry a game.
The other exciting thing to think about in Korea as well is obviously IEM World Championship is like in like March or something. The #1 team in Korea around the time of the IEM World Championship is the one that gets the automatic invitation, and that will likely be the only Korean team at IEM Worlds because Jin Air. Actually, that's a weird one because they might give them 2 spots again, like they did. Oh no, we know Ever will get a spot. Yeah, Ever will get a spot. So
yes, if ever exists.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
So that
it's very interesting.
Yeah, so there might be the case where they have to invite like 2 Korean teams like they did last time. Entus and
CJ.
Ku
and CJ.
GE Tigers at that point.
Yeah.
That went because they were the #1 and #2 team in Korea at a certain point. So like the top, so it might be a case of like the top 2 gets to go, or it might just be the top 1 gets to go. But and if it is. I think ROX Tigers would probably quite like to go to IEM Worlds because obviously last time they fucked it up, and I think they'd probably like to, take an international trophy as well. So, yeah, you got that to look forward to. And I always like.
It'll also be very interesting, I gotta say. With you have the 4 members of Ever, and then you have Kakao, Peekaboo, and Dade who haven't signed. So you have like 7 players who I wouldn't say are automatic upgrades for whichever position except for Peekaboo, unless it's ROX Tigers, where you have an argument of whether Peekaboo or Gorilla is better. But almost all of those players you could see come in, and it'd be very interesting to see if they choose to make a move during the spring or if they kind of take a season off.
Yeah, whether they try and sort of get into the LCK on their own, yeah. So, yeah,
or go to LPL or EU or NA. It'd be very interesting to see if they go anywhere.
Anything else?
Anything else about like the Korean Champions League? Forgot I had to add league because it's not already automatically known that Korea is just simply the champions.
Yeah.
Not everyone has embraced the clear understanding of who is the best.
Yeah, like League of Legends, a bunch of players compete together and eventually a Koreans win. It's in the rules.
No,
so do you guys want to move to NA, EU, or China?
Well, just any Korean. We'll take it in turns to talk about a Korean player on a foreign team that we think is particularly interesting. So.
Well, I thought we could just like run through pretty quick. Someone like we could stop and do a bit more on the players we think are interesting, but just kind of go over exactly where everyone moved.
Okay, well, so running down North America. Rush on Cloud9, not always already there. Rush has never actually played in Korea, so North American journalists probably know more about him than we do.
We have KFO and Echo Fox, who seems to be just like a
solo queue
ladder top laner. Yeah.
He did have a sweet play. No, wait, no, that was Tip's top laner. Wrong one.
Huni and Rainover on Immortals now, which people obviously know from EU, but I think this is. Unless Huni has recovered and the tank meta never comes back, this team's going to have some chance. But if the tank meta comes back, the team doesn't really have a carry. They have great supports.
There are so many teams in NA which seem to be they have a top carry and then like a supportive or not that good mid laner, and then like a supportive or just not that good AD carry. Like, so many teams in NA seem to have built themselves to be top centric. What happens when we go to a tank meta, mate? Like, it's like the opposite problem of last year, where there were like no carry tops in NA except for like Impact and
you just prayed to God that everything was
and
Maokai.
then, and the top carry meta came and like all of NA basically ignored it. You know what I mean? Like it's like the opposite problem of what they had last year. How like I don't understand how NA teams put together rosters. Like they just seem to go like whatever was cool last year, that's what we'll do this year. So last year, when they were building their rosters for 2015, it was all like, oh, we need to get as many Korean players as possible. That's what all the LPL teams are doing, is just get all the Koreans. Then this year, it's like, no, what's great is if you have all your teams all speak the same language. So that's what we're going to try and focus on doing. And we only want Koreans who are proficient in English. But also we want top lane carries because it's now a top lane carry meta. I'm like, no, it was last year. This year, it might be something totally different. We don't know yet. Like, build your team with multiple threats, and then you can survive any meta. Don't build it for the meta that's currently was in place 3 months ago.
So what you're saying is they should be more like Longzhu and have 4 threats in 4 lanes, and then a support who's pretty decent support. No, nothing great out of him, nothing bad out of him, and then you can just let your players adapt to the meta as it comes, and each person can take a turn carrying.
I think the big LCK to NA transfer was OQ to TDK.
I would say energy. But
Oh,
yes, OQ to TDK is probably the most surprising, I would say, because of how good he is. And that's pretty much, he could probably carry them all the way to the automatic promotion position.
Yeah.
But then you have the interesting with the energy.
OQ definitely can. Like he'll body everything in sight. Like we've watched him lane. He contests every single creep. Like he doesn't miss a single auto attack in lane. Like like
he's one of the players where you need to ban certain 80
carries
because he'll just.
You have to do that forgiven thing where you go like ban out Lucian and Callista every game. Otherwise there's no chance of us to win. Like we've watched.
He'll just end it.
Remember that game on Corky had where he played against Fury and Samsung Galaxy? He went like 7-0 in lane and started diving Fury like a second turret. And it was like, this isn't a shit player he's playing. This is like the third best AD carrying career. He's just dumpstering him like OQ's a fucking he might actually be the best player in NA right now. That's not a crazy thing.
And he's not playing in the actual.
And he's not even playing in the top league. I do know that he's probably making one of the biggest salaries in NA.
Oh yeah, he is.
Like the reports is that TDK are paying more an actual salary than any NALCS team. So whatever venture capital they've got going on, just shoving money down his throat. Like that's why they're taking the offer. Like, hi, yeah, so we want you to come and play in North American Championship. It's not gonna happen, mate. Right, yeah, we're gonna pay you this much. Yeah, all right, yeah.
So when do you need me there?
Yeah, what time do you want me to turn up, mate? I'll do it all kind of thing. Like, you know what? Like, I feel for any North American amateur who's got to play against him. Obviously, not. Obviously, I don't feel for you because you should just work harder. But I do feel for you when you're like imagine like that impactful guy has to go up against OQ in the bot lane. Like, you can get fucking head caved in by minute 3. Like, and the best part is on TDK, like once they get Ninja back as well, Ninja's a good mid laner. Like it's not like you can just go, oh, we'll just dive OQ all the time and it'll be fine. Like
no, when TDK realized they didn't have there was no chance of them actually winning and they just stopped giving a fuck.
Yeah.
Ninja would just go off.
Yeah, he was good. And also we all remember that game they played against TSM where he dodged 12 Santorin Gragas ults in a row kind of thing. Like just kept sidestepping them and stuff like that.
Dodge.
It was just he did have some fucking fancy ass footwork. I'll say that much, kind of thing.
I don't think he dodged a few. He probably dodged a good portion of them, but a good portion of them he also probably was like, "Oh, I totally missed."
Yeah,
cool.
So yeah, I was saying last year that Emperor was probably the player best poised to kind of beat kind of counter Bjergsen in the mid lane. It's just TDK were mirrored down in visa issues and. They kind of went to shit, which is really disappointing for everyone involved.
Which was the worst visa issues? EG or TDK?
Wait, EG?
Wait, the old evil geniuses?
Yeah, old evil geniuses.
Oh no, they didn't have their players for 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was not that bad, dude. TDK
was
way worse.
Well, they kept role swapping people in and out to coach. The coach became the AD. They're
Oh, you
no,
mean
no,
Winter Fox?
Fox.
Winter. Okay,
Oh,
yeah, sorry.
You mean
They
They
So-
became Winter. EG became Winter
Winter
Fox.
Fox's
Yeah.
issue was that they couldn't they just made terrible roster decisions.
Yeah,
Like,
that was-
TDK did nothing wrong except for they went for long visas rather than short visas. That was the only thing they did wrong, and they got
I
fucked.
just still find it hilarious.
And then like the
Two teams
Korean government
completely-
kind of collapsed briefly, and or the visa section of the government collapsed anyway. Like they got very much fucked over by current affairs. That TDK roster is if I really hope they get into LCS. Especially the best one is oh, you all remember that AMA that Ember CEO or owner or whatever wrote where he was like, I think we have the secret and I think NA players could be just as good. Oh, I can't wait for TD to play against Ember. Oh, I can't
wait to see
for it.
OQ completely wreck.
I felt like there were two internet memes I wanted to associate to that. One where guy pets the dog and is like, oh look, a dog, and then says something stupid, goes, oh no, it's retarded, or just anything he said in the AMA, oh no, it's retarded, and then the other one where where you just rub in your face, where you just watch TDK pile drive Ember into the ground, oh, the most pro-American team I've ever seen versus the team that's I actually don't really like American players. Do you speak Korean? Then you can be on the roster. If TDK, if it wasn't for import laws, I imagine TDK would have just had 5 Koreans. Straight away, they wouldn't even bother
Of course.
hiring anyone. So yeah, that's the.
Who is even on that Ember team?
Glebe Garbage.
Oh, great. Okay.
Oh, it's Golden Glue. Okay, I know what it is.
Golden Glutes.
Golden Glue as well.
Vault Boy himself.
Oh, that's a top quality team right
I
there.
don't get why he's Vault Boy, but I must have missed that.
Wait,
team
no,
intro.
you never played. You never played Fallout.
No.
Oh, you meant Fall Boy. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he looks like the mascot of Fallout. Benjamin is the AD, whoever the fuck that guy is. But apparently these guys are being paid 72,000, 72,000, 92,000, 70,000, and 86,000. So yeah, they're being paid a lot for what it's worth.
Complete garbage.
Yes, so it'll be so satisfying to watch TDK crush Ember.
So I found TDK. All of them except for Kez, they're just Koreans.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of them are NA Koreans and some of them are Korean.
Yeah, that's.
Oh god, Bishu support.
Yeah, that's a fucking horrible though. Okay, yes.
Well,
Wait, they have Do It?
Yeah, so Do It is their substitute mid laner while Ninja's banned.
But he was a jungler.
No, he was a mid laner.
Wasn't he for SBENU?
Yes, he was a mid laner.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
He
There's too
didn't play
many
many
people in
games.
SBENU.
Catch was always
Catch was
Yes.
primary jungler.
So, obviously they have Seraph in the top, just because he's Korean.
Seraph, who's now NA, right?
Yeah.
He's been there long enough.
Yeah, no, he got grandfathered in basically.
Oh, okay.
They have OQ.
And
Bishu is the support player because I think it's just because he speaks Korean, and they were like, "Do you speak Korean? We just need a guy to."
do you live in Southern California?
Yeah,
Great.
we just need someone to talk Korean to OQ. That's all we need you.
Play Janna.
Yeah.
Just put shields on him and keep things away.
It literally doesn't matter who's on this team. I think OQ can just 1v5 every game if he needed to. He's a
Once Ninja comes back, it'll be 2v5.
Yeah, exactly. And once Ninja comes back, it's 2v5. I'm not even excited for Do It. I think Do It will just do all right. His name should be Do All Right, not Do It.
Or I was on SBENU.
Yeah. Let's have a look.
So the other teams we have that have Koreans then would be Team Impulse, who is Proxen, who played for Zombie IM, and Piran, who I'm just assuming is similar to KFO, just a solo queue talent.
Yeah.
A guy in Challenger in
Yeah,
Korea.
a guy who was once a challenger in Korea.
Retired.
Yeah, that's not really worth talking about. Team TL. Oh yeah, TL don't have any new Koreans. I'm not talking.
The only other interesting thing is Energy with Impact, Alltech being the carries, and you have GBM. They picked up GBM, and they have Impact, and
Yes.
I think that's a pretty decent decent pickup for that team as long as they continue to play how you would assume those players should be, and not go full stupid tip during the playoffs this summer and have their AD carry try to carry.
I think that as long as what's his name, Moon, the new prospect NA prospect jungler, isn't terrible, I actually think that this NRG team should be second in the NALCS. That would be,
should be top,
my pick for where they could be in the NALCS based on the players they have on their roster. Ultek's a really good early carry. Impact's the best top in North America. Sorry, Darshan fans or whatever.
Even his teacher calls him. Oh wait.
Yeah, and then GBM should likely be a top 2 mid laner in NA as well. Maybe Cloud9, but I think I would take the new NRG lineup over Cloud9's lineup because Cloud9 still have balls on the roster. That would be so. Yeah, I think that like. Obviously, GBM was very good mid laner in Korea. He was not afraid of making plays and making flanks on Victor.
But he is just a person who's going to farm up incredibly.
Yeah, he is. He's a bit of a late game carry as well. Like he's always that insurance.
Though they may not be Korean, but I believe this is a. Before we move on to EU, this is a bottom lane made somewhere, but they are a perfect fit for each other. And that would be Team Dignitas' bottom lane of Apollo and Kiwi Kid. That is a perfect match. I don't know where it was made. It's a perfect match. Maybe heaven, maybe hell.
We're not talking
purgatory.
we're not talking about teams that aren't Korean, so I don't want to get more flack. I already wrote an article about Team Dignitas today that no one read. So,
once upon a time, they had good players. So moving over to EU, there's only 2 teams that we're really going to talk about, which is G2 and Fnatic. With Fnatic, replacing Huni and Reignover with Gamsu and Spirit, and I think you're probably gonna see a bit of a drop off from Fnatic from where they were last year because I don't think they're gonna go 18-0.
Not in the first set, at least.
Because Origin is much better with their upgrade, but I think Spirit is gonna be an upgrade over Reignover, obviously, and then Gamsu a little bit of a downgrade over Huni, but we'll actually be able to see what Gamsu can do.
Be interesting to see how much Spirit can just be the Chinese Spirit, or is he going to become a new Spirit, European Spirit, or
I want to see if anyone bans Nidalee against him, or if he ever can get Nidalee and she's okay in the jungle, just to see what he will do to everyone.
Yeah, like if Spirit can play at all, having played on World Elite in the spring split of LPL, like he can melt faces. I don't think he can, but it's a good pickup from Fnatic. They kind of rescued that off season really because they lost like 3 great players, 3 good to great players.
The biggest loss is definitely Yellowstar.
They kept Yellowstar gone.
The biggest loss they're still suffering from. Yes, I'm not sure whether you could argue that Huni or Yellowstar was a bigger loss in terms of individual, but because they managed to get a pretty good top laner and a great jungler. Like before, they had a great top laner and a good jungler. Now they've got a good top laner and a great jungler. The problem is before they had a great support, and now they have we don't know support.
Yeah, I would say Huni or Yellowstar is the biggest loss because he was the most consistent at a highest level. Where Huni, you saw him fall off a bit. Reignover was just a better version of what he was, and he just did what he needed to do.
People don't remember, like Yellowstar was the one. Like Yellowstar was a big reason why Fnatic lost that first game against ROX Tigers at Worlds. Like he got caught like 3 times in a row. Like I don't know why no one ever talks about this. Yellowstar had a habit of getting caught. Like it was a great shot caller and stuff, but like he did have a habit of going into the wrong place. I don't know whether that was like him trying to get vision down or something like that. But like he did get caught like twice in the run up to like how ROX Tigers won that game, as it were. And his team fighting wasn't as good as it could be as well.
He did not play as well in that series, but if you look at the entire year of 2015,
you tell me, yeah,
he was by and far the most consistent and the most solid player on that team.
Well,
yeah.
Well, technically Falcon was.
Yeah,
well, we're talking about the people replaced, sure. But
I would say if you look at the entire year, I would still say. Yellowstar. A little because Forbidden didn't do as much in the beginning. The
really early games where he was like flash ulting as Annie every 10 seconds, like that was pretty good. But
I guess.
Okay, yeah. So, but yeah, like I mean, I'm kind of sad Spirit didn't decide to come back to Korea, but I don't know option to, because I'm not sure how his reputation is in Korea based on the allegations that came out about his time on World Elite. You know, that stuff is a grey one.
Then again, you can understand. I could understand his situation being on that team.
Yeah.
But I believe you wanted to talk about G2 with Trick and Emperor.
I quite liked Trick last year, and I don't understand why they kept playing Ambition over him. Trick has a winning rate against SKT. How many people could say they've got that? He was the jungler when CJ Entus beat SKT 2-1 in that regular season match, and we all went mental about it.
For like
a bit too mental.
Yes,
some people.
Yeah, I definitely got excited. Although it was like watching my mortal enemy destroy my less than mortal enemy, so I was a bit like.
How is CJ your mortal enemy?
Well, it was last year because, you know, the Najin and CJ rivalry, and I always felt like CJ could go die in a fire. No, I don't mind CJ though. It's funny how much. Now that CJ is shit, I don't mind. Yeah, like I think that Trick could do quite well in Europe if he plays. I think he could have a similar kind of kind of breakout in the way that Reignover had a breakout last year if he's able to play.
Better, I hope.
An Emperor, who's I think is an AD carry who gets who's got a lot slacker and because he's quite aggressive. I think if his team can play around his aggression in the correct way, I think he could do really well.
I just really think Emperor just wanted to be in every continent once. So that's why he went to Europe this year. I mean, now he got everything.
He just has to go through all the. He has to do China and he has to do all the wildcard regions.
Yeah, so that.
It's Suno who's is the #1 at the moment because he's managed to play in every region. He's managed to play in Brazil, North America, China, Korea, and now Europe. He hasn't played in Taiwan yet. So
then that's the only other parts there. We got some Chinese ones we'll kind of go over, though I'm pretty sure everyone knows most of the Chinese ones, so we'll just talk about the new additions, which would be you have Athena going to Edward Gaming, which is super confusing to me personally. I have no understanding of what this move does. Besides, yes, Pawn may still be sick, or whatever is wrong with him, but he is Pawn and Athena are like dynamically like antipodes. They're the exact opposite. You have someone who kind of does crazy things in lane phase versus someone who just farms Athena. Yeah. It seems like a very weird pickup to have just to replace BENU because he didn't seem to do great on that team.
The other one, didn't QG get some? Oh no, QG got Uzia. Silly B. He's not Korean. Snake.
You had Snake get Tank and Vici get Easy. And LGD obviously got Marin.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it.
Tank, kind of weird pickup. I don't think U is an issue.
No,
and Vici, Easy Hoon is a supportive mid laner with no one to support. So, again, another weird.
No, Easy Hoon's not a supportive mid laner. He's a late game carry mid laner. A supportive mid, there's very much a distinction between Easy Hoon and Kuro, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
The only times we ever saw Easy kind of go crazy
he's not
before
aggressive,
30-40 minutes was
against
spring season finals against Kuro.
That doesn't mean but that's what I mean. Easy Hoon in the games that he did carry, he doesn't roam a lot. You know what I mean? He stays in the mid lane, he farms up, he wave clears. He waits for a certain point on a big AP scaling champion and then takes over the game in that way. You know, what's the most iconic Easy Hoon champions like Karthus and Ziggs? Those aren't, whereas Kuro's my most iconic champions is Lulu and
Scasson's pretty good.
That was because he kind of managed to find a way to play melee mid laners throughout the year. Kuro was more about the roaming and the sort of supportive and
he had very good filler as well.
Yeah, and obviously he's Victor as well.
Yeah, the difference
I'll give you
is, the difference is like Cure, you can just make sure the team is fine, has everything they need, and
Yeah.
he plays the champions they need, and then Izun is the guy that just farms the first 30 minutes and then late game.
Yeah, you've got to play around EasyHoon basically. The question about this Vici roster with EasyHoon on it is they find Vici's problem last year in the games I watched them. What was to me that they looked like they didn't have anyone who was actually going to carry the game. So like they had Matter and Dandy, but then like their top laner and their mid laner and their AD carry were all pretty shit. At least now they've got a good mid laner who can carry games. So in that aspect, I think, EasyHoon joining Vici was a smart decision from Vici. I don't think that he was probably worth the money they paid for him, but then that doesn't seem to bother Chinese teams.
No. Not at all.
But I do think that, I don't think this Vici roster is going to set the world on fire and go to Worlds, but I don't think it'll be as bad as Vici was last year either, which is a very up and down team, is what I would say.
Yeah. Any other players we're missing? Does anyone know where Motto went?
Yeah, Royal Never Give Up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He joined Royal Never Give Up with the real RNG. Sorry, Renegades. With so like Looper, Insec, MLX.
Oh yeah, they're waiting for Insect to become Chinese, and then they're gonna play three Canadians.
Wuxin, like that was a 10-man roster they got, where they basically seemed like they got a young prospect in China and then like a veteran in China, and they're going to see which one's worse of the two, basically, or better, depending on how you want to look at it. But that seemed to be a sort. So yeah, that was. But so they'll probably play Looper and Mata for a while, and then rotate between Insec and MLXG once Insec's Chinese, I guess. That's the only hope for him to continue on his career as a Chinese national rather than as a Korean.
Yep.
And he can return to Korea at least. Well, he could probably play for SBENU or for Samsung if he wanted to. But EDG signing Athena. So
super weird.
The reasoning for this one is Pawn still has his health issues, apparently. Health issues, whatever that means. And they want a second mid laner on the team because they want as many Korean imports as they can get their hands on. They chose to go with a Korean mid laner, which means that so it gives Pawn the chance, means Pawn doesn't have to play every game, which means that now apparently they were interested in Athena before Kesper Cup. Whether or not that's true, I guess the idea is they want a second Korean mid laner because they've sent Baimi to their second team.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, I guess it makes sense. Although there were better mid laners they could have paid a lot of money to get, but that just feels like the owner of EDG watched Kesper Cup and was like, "I want that new toy," and then. So he's just decided to buy the new shiny toy, not actually understanding that it's just shiny paint and it's not actually that good underneath. It's all shine, no substance with Athena.
China has a lot of money.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Tank on Snake.
Oh yeah.
This.
Will he start over you?
Probably. Yeah.
They already have a tank, but probably a bit better in a Chinese one. So why get tank? Why not get another?
Because they have an import slot left over in Korea.
Yeah, but that's the point. They could have gotten another jungler or something, or I don't know.
Snake spent like an entire 3-month period using Beast over ZZR, despite the fact that ZZR was the better player, just because Beast was Korean.
Right. Whatever.
So I just think that the owner of Snake decided he wanted a new mid laner. And it's weird. I don't think Chinese teams really appreciate you for what he actually managed to do for teams. I don't feel like he's
I don't think so.
really appreciated. So, yeah. So I think that's probably why they went for tank. They might switch between them and stuff like that. Snake could always sign a Korean. Well, no, because they've got Flandre in the top lane. Martin as their AD and Crystal as their AD.
Martin and Crystal they swap out.
Yeah, so I don't know. I reckon they'll probably carry on using Tank. I think Tank's a good player with a lot of growth potential. So in that aspect, it makes sense.
He's no Doinby.
He's better than Doinby, let's be honest.
Will we ever see Tank play mid lane Nautilus?
I hope not. And Marin on LGD, that just feels like a desperate attempt for LGD to sort out whatever issues caused their World Championship meltdown.
Yep.
You know, like I just think maybe they think that Smeb is some, no, sorry, not Smeb. Marin's some godlike shot caller and team captain that can stop the team hating each other the second they start to lose a game. Or maybe it's something about the water outside of Korea that just makes all the players hate each other. And then maybe they think that Marin will counter that. Who knows? But maybe FGD can not melt down. I mean, what we were going to do if China have a second shit year in a row, that's going to be depressing for everyone involved, isn't it?
Yep. I mean, they also replaced their jungler with Amy, who is an up-and-coming jungler.
Yes.
Thank God.
And then I think, what's his name? God V or whatever he changed it to during the IEM is back to Wayless.
Back to Wayless.
I don't know if it's noteworthy that Godvy's changed his name at this point. He changes it every 2 weeks, so.
Sadly, outside of Korea or outside of China, that is the most notable thing about him because he did not play well.
Yeah. Anything else anyone else to talk about?
No, we covered
Excited
all the
for some
Korean
games?
players. Yeah.
Don't think it's going to be too crazy of a shakeup.
Not in Korea now.
What, the results for the first week?
Yeah.
No, not really. Like, there's no big games. I mean, obviously it's worth watching because I haven't watched Korean League Legends for like a year at this point. So it's worth watching in that aspect. But like, you know,
yeah, it's worth watching.
CJ versus SKT. You know, I mean, the interest of the first week is just watching how these teams play with their new rosters, not necessarily the actual results, because all the results look like fairly one-sided affairs, really. Will Bubbling, the new CJ Entus jungler, play Udyr against SKT? Who knows? I hope he does. If you're going to lose, you might as well lose in style.
Will Ambition continue to his endless quest of gathering all of the minions?
Yeah. Will Ambition continue to get caught? Who knows? Like, I mean, Ambition's got a pretty easy first week. He plays e-mFire and then Freecs. He could go 4-0, and then someone would call me an idiot on Twitter. Who knows?
No,
I don't think it. Yeah.
Is that?
There's not many interesting games, at least from what we can expect of teams at the moment until later in the season.
You can just now watch how they do with all their rosters. How they adjust to the new meta as well.
Yeah. Is that the end of the show then?
Seems about it.
Yep. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll see you after the first week of games.
Yes.
Oh boy.